Hello everybody. Till now we have seen the login test, create lead test, create task and the delete test. Right? Now we will see how to parameterize these test cases. Now what is parameterization? Parameterization means that I will be reading my test data from an XML file into IDE. Okay. So this is IDE and I will read the data from this XML file testdata.xml. How an XML file looks like? It looks like this. Okay, I have got a starting tag called test data. Okay, inside this tag I have got three tags called login test, create lead test and delete lead test, and these correspond to one test case. For example, for login test I have the test data as this username and password. Okay, similarly for create lead test I have got two sets of test data over here. That means that I want to repeat this test two times. Okay, and in this delete lead test again I have got two sets of data. That means I want to delete both the leads. And inside the test data tag of create lead test I have two test data tags. You see that? I have got first name, salutation, last name, company status for each lead mentioned over here. So I have to write a logic in such a manner that if there are two test data tags in create lead test, we'll take example of create lead test first. Okay, or let us take example of login test first. We will read the data from the login test in the login test from this XML, and because there is just one test data tag over here, it will be repeated once. Okay, first let us see the art of reading the XML file. Obviously we will be using user extensions. In user extension we'll create functions, the JavaScript functions, which will be reading this XML file. Okay, I have already made those functions and I'll show it to you. Here is the user extensions.js. I'll open it in Edit Plus, and this is the file. Okay, and in this file I have made a function named as load test data. This will load the test data provided you pass on your test name, and basically I am parsing the whole XML in the neof function over here, and I am extracting the nodes of XML. It is a very long file, a very long process. Okay, there is a lot of stuff in this file. Okay, parsing the XML. How did I learn it? How to read the XML file? I learned it from this website, wcschools.com/dom/dom_parser.asp is the URL. This is the URL. Over here you have got the tutorial for XML DOM parsing. That means parsing the XML file, reading the XML file. And I have created very generic function over here, load test data, which will load the test data of your test case. You can download this file from the link on my website, right? And you can use this to read the XML file. How will you use this to read the XML file is very simple. All you need to do is you need to start your IDE, right? Wait a minute, I'll start my IDE and go to options format and include user extensions.js over here. User extensions.js has the function load test data, which will load the test data from the XML file. Okay, now you give the command over here load, and you see that you get the function load test data because I made that function in my XML file. Okay, and you have to give the test name. For example, I want to give the test name as in test.xml. I give the test name as, say, create lead test or login test. Fine. I give the test name as login test. So this command will load the test data of the login test. And after that, I give the command while. I have to write a while loop till the time the target is test data dot eof. Now what is this? I'll put a not sign in the beginning. When I call load test data function in out here, it initializes an object of test data in JavaScript, and that test data has a function called eof, end of file, which will the eof function which will tell you if the test data for the test is present or is the test data for the test is present or not. Okay, it will get clearer to you in some time. I give the command while not of test data dot end of file, that is till the time there is test data. Okay, I will give the command echo and the target name. Now what happens is that end of file function, when it is called, it loads the test data from this XML file and it loads the tags. These tags are very important. Okay, it creates a variables. It will create variables in IDE with the same name as the tag names. The end of file function, I have made it in such a manner that it will load these tags: username, password, salutation, first name. It will load the tags of the test which you are passing on to load test data function. Currently I passed on login test to the load test data. So what it will do, it will load the tags. EOF function will load the tags of the test data. It will create a variable with the same name as the tag name. So if I give the command echo dollar username, okay, right, and after that I run this. After that I write the command and while. Okay, now what this has, something has recorded. Wait a minute. All right. Okay, now let's run this. You see that the username is qtpselenium@gmail.com. Where is this coming from? This is coming from the XML file username tag. Okay, if I give the command echo target would be dollar password in curly brackets, and I run this again. See, it is echoing the username, and after that it is echoing the password, right? So this is the beauty of the file which I have made. It is reading from the XML file. Now suppose in the XML file I give two sets of usernames and passwords. This is the XML file. I'll edit it and I give two sets of test data, or rather three sets. Suppose qtp selenium 1@gmail.com, 1 and 2 as well, okay, and the password as something else, right? So I have modified my test data.xml. In the login test, I have given three sets of test data tag and three sets of usernames and passwords. So what will happen is that when I run this code now, after clearing the log, if I run it now, it will print three sets of usernames and passwords. It will execute three times. This while loop will execute three times because testdata.eof will tell you that there are three sets of test data, so you will have to run the while loop three times. So first it printed the normal username qtpselenium@gmail.com, pass@1234 password. In the second run, it printed the qtpselenium1@gmail.com and xxx. In the third run, it printed qtpselenium2@gmail.com and yy. I can also, to make it a little bit simpler, I can also write like this: $username and $password. So it will print the username and password in the same line, right? When I run this, see that this is the first set, this is the second set, sorry, this is the first set, second set and third set, right? Similarly, I can load the test data of create lead test as well. Now the point where people they tend to make mistake in this: if I have a tag called username over here, then in order to retrieve that tag value, I have to write $username. If I keep U capital, okay, and I run this, in my XML file U is small, but in IDE I keep the username U capital and I run this, you see that username never got printed. So it is case sensitive. The tag name should be same as the variable name. What EOF does is it creates a variable with the same name as the tag name. Alright, so this is how you can parameterize your test. Now if I write over here, instead of login test, if I give the create lead test, right, I give create lead test, then it will load the test data of create lead test. Salutation, first name, last name. Suppose I type first name, okay, and I write over here dollar first name dollar salutation dollar first name and dollar last name, okay, right? Now I am loading the data of create lead test, and using while loop, I will print all the test data for the create lead test. That is, there are two tags. There are two test data tags, so this test should execute 2 times. So when I run this, you see that Mr. Tom Hanks and Mr. Elinash, right? It's Mr. Elinash, okay? So it comes from here. Salutation, first name, last name. Similarly, you can get the company and the status as well. So the point to be noted here is that the variable created is same as the tag name. All because of this user extensions.js file which we made. You can download this file, put it. It's just another plugin for reading XML which I have made in IDE, right? So you can parameterize your test cases like this. Now let us open our test cases and parameterize them. Okay, in this test data.xml, I'll just edit this test data.xml. I just want to log in into the application once and create 3 leads. Alright, so I will delete these 2 test cases and I will create 3 leads. I will log in once and create 3 leads. Alright, so let us open the old scenario, old test suite which we have generated till now. Right, we have the login test first. In the login test, I want the test data to be read from this XML file. Right, so what I will do before open, I will give a command in the very beginning. The command will be load test data for the test login test, right? Open the URL, verify the title. Before opening the URL, I will insert a new command called while test not of test data dot end of file. Till the time test data never ends, end while, and in the username, in the input box username, type the value will be $username. I am parameterizing this as well. I am just repeating this once, but the values will be coming from the XML file. And the password. The password will be read from $password variable name same as the tag name. Alright, now let's run the login test, just the login test, okay, and see if I'm able to log in into the application or not. Right, okay, it's running, it's opening the site, and it should read the username and password from XML and type in this. You see that it gets typed and it's actually coming from the XML file, and I am able to log in. The login test has been successfully implemented. I have successfully read the data from the XML file. Now coming over to create lead test. Now in create lead test, I have got 2 sets of test data. That means I need to create two leads, one for Tom and one for Ellie, right? These are my two test data tags for create lead, and I have got all the data which I need to fill in the form mentioned over here. So I will go to my create lead test in IDE. The first command what I will do is I will give the command load test data for the test create lead test. Right? Okay, one thing which I forgot to tell you is that the path of the XML file, the place where your XML file is lying, you have to tell that path about that path in this user extensions. I should have told this earlier, but I forgot. That path has to be written over here. Okay, just let's correct that path as well. Right? Now, load test data, create lead test. After that, the same while loop, while not of test data dot end of file, and in the end while. Now salutation is Mr. right? In the XML the variable name will be salutation, right? So from the XML I will bring in, and instead of Mr. I will write $salutation. Similarly, instead of Tom I will write first name. First name is there, last name is there, company is there, and status is there, right? So you have these variables. This will be $first name. This will be $last name. This will be $company. This will be, oh, I didn't put $. This will be status. Status, right? After that I click on the register button with which I successfully register a lead, and then I assert whether the lead name is there on the top of the page or not, which we saw earlier as well. So this will be Tom. Instead of hard coding Tom Hanks over here, I will write $first name space $last name. Okay, and out here instead of Mr. Tom Hanks you will write $salutation space $first name space $last name. Okay, so this will execute the create lead test. I am reading the data from the XML. Okay, automatically whenever the while loop will run, when the while loop runs for the first time, the first test data will come. When the while loop runs for the second time, the second set of test data will come. These variables will be updated. Okay, now let's run this create lead test. I have my Mozilla, I have the Salesforce application, and right now no leads are there on the left hand corner. Okay, now let's run this test. So when it runs, it creates the first lead Tom has. It's very fast. Okay, and after that I get an error. I get an error that assertion has failed. Wait a minute. Okay, I made a mistake. First underscore name and last underscore name. Okay, so I made this mistake. Now it will pass. Anyways, I'll delete this lead manually and I'll run the test again. I'll slow the speed. You can slow the speed from here. I'll slow it down so that you guys are able to see what's actually happening when the script runs. I'll run it again. So it goes to create lead test, creates a new lead, fills in the value. See, the values are coming on from the XML. Tom Hanks is the lead which got created, and after that it will create the second lead whose data will come from XML as well. See, everything is coming from XML. See that? 2 leads have been successfully generated, right? So I have parameterized my create lead test. Now you save this. So create task test is another test which I leave on to you to automate. Okay, you can automate this. Create task test. Okay, you can give the values in the XML file and automate it. Okay, I'll just move it below the delete lead test, and I will again parameterize the delete lead. Now, as per the XML file, the delete lead test, if I open the test data, as per the XML file, delete lead test has got 2 tags of test data. In the name tag, the first lead which needs to be deleted is Tom Hanks, and after that Ellie Nash. With the leads which I just created, they need to be deleted. So I gave the 2 sets of test data in this, right? And if you look at the delete lead test, now initially the Tom Hanks is hard coded here. Okay, so what I will do, I will load the test data for the test delete lead test. Copy this name and the target name should be same. Okay, and I'll write a while loop, while test data dot end of file. In the end, I will write end while, and instead of hard coding Tom Hanks over here, I will write $name. So the name will come from this name tag. Okay, so let's run this test. I've got these 2 leads, and this is my IDE, and when I run this test, first okay, error name not found. Oh, it should be $name. My mistake. Okay, let's run it again. So the name variable will have Tom Hanks, and see, Tom Hanks got deleted, right? And Ellie Nash gets selected, and it will click on the delete button and delete it as well. So I have parameterized my delete lead test as well, right? Now I will close the browser, this window, and I will run the complete test suite. So login test will just run once, create lead test will run twice because there are two leads to be created, delete lead test will run twice, and create task test, I haven't parameterized it, it will just run once. Okay, so this is the button to run the entire test suite, and when I run this, this is running. It will first log you into the application. The username and password will be read from the XML file. Okay, and after that it will create a new lead, Tom Hanks, and it will create another link, lead, Ellie Nash. So this is the second test case being executed twice. Now delete test will start executing. It will delete both the leads which I just created. First it will delete Tom Hanks and then it will delete Ellie Nash. And in the end, create task test will execute, which I have not parameterized. You have to parameterize this test. All the tests can be downloaded from my site after logging in, right? So now in the create task test, there is some issue. Okay, my browser, it prevented the pop-up from opening. So the pop-up never opened for the subject, so it failed. This pop-up never opened. Anyways, you can try this out. We saw the script working earlier. Fine. So this is how you can parameterize. See, it started working now. I manually opened the pop-up. It started working. The script is continuing. Okay, so the create task test is also over. So now this is the simple thing with which you can parameterize a simple XML plugin, alright, which I have created. You can download the user extensions as well. Now in the next test, we will see how to use regular expressions in Selenium IDE. Okay, with regular expressions in IDE, I can validate the date, anything. I can do anything, and we'll see such examples.